Good morning, everybody. This week we continue in the book of Genesis and the story of the ancestors and both Jacob and Leah and Rachel are really coming into um, are the protagonists and continuing for some of them and just really coming forward in their powers. In fact, this week's portion, Vayeitze, which means, and he exited, he left, referring to Jacob running away. It's full of all kinds of magical powers that all three of these ancestors draw on to continue the destiny, to continue their own personal journeys and the journeys of the Israelites. So the Parsha opens with by saying that Jacob left Beersheba and he's running away because he fears that his brother Esau, from whom he has stolen the birthright, is going to kill him. So he's running, and the first verse says he left, so he's going out, and it also then adds, and he's going toward, so he's going toward Haran. And for me, just this very first verse, he left, he exits, and he goes toward is a clue that a really important step in his development as a human being, as a patriarch, that he's really taking a very important step into the next consciousness, that um, he's not going to be able to heal all the trauma of what's happened in his home, his birth and his parents favoring one over the other, his fears, the violence, the impending possibility of violence between him and his brother, that Jacob isn't going to be able to step into his destiny and heal all of this family karma and trauma unless he understands not just what he has to leave, but what he has to go toward. Like he has to find something new, a new way of being. And right after Toyrah gives us this clue that he understands he has to go toward something that's going to bring down healing, light, he immediately enters into a completely new relationship with the natural world. Remember, this is Jacob, who was the homebody, whose mother had to, I mean, he couldn't go out and hunt. He didn't feel comfortable out in the natural world. He was, sheltered in his mother's house, right? All of a sudden, Jacob comes to this place, and a lot of the traditional writing is that he hit this place. This place hit him. There's all kinds of interpretations of the words Toyrah uses to describe how he arrives at this new place in the wilderness, in between coming and going. He's in this new liminal place in the wilderness. So he comes upon this place. He stops there for the night, and the some of the traditional interpretations suggest also that something magical has happened in why all of a sudden it's night. Um, and yet he feels so at home for the first time in the liminal place between his old homeland and his new one that is also his ancestral homeland, and out in the wilderness, in the unknown, completely unprotected. He feels at home. He becomes grounded for the first time. He takes one of the stones from that place, Hamakom, which becomes one of the great mystical names for the God of Torah, Hamakom, this channeling of the divine that we can access anywhere. If Jacob can access this in the middle of this place in between coming and going, in between his the land he's leaving and the land his ancestors left that he's returning to, we all can encounter this hamakom, this place. He makes himself at home. He takes a stone, and there's again all kinds of ways that the Hebrew switches from singular to plural. Like he's amidst stones, but he just takes the one stone. So there's all this writing from our ancient sages that something about his picking up the stone, he transforms, or the stones transform from many to one, which could parallel kind of the play that also will happen in a moment between the many gods and the one God. But he picks up a stone and he puts it under his head. He's so grounded. He then like lays down on the stone and he has a dream. So this is, and we're only in the really the first three verses, the first two verses of the entire portion, where he's now so grounded in this unknown place, right? Alone in this liminal unknown place, that he takes a stone and he puts a head on it, and he puts it down his head, and he lays down and he has the famous dream of Jacob's ladder. And the dream, a stairway is set on the ground. It's like Jacob finding grounding, like Jacob is the stairway, right? He has a dream that there's a stairway going from the ground to heaven. And there are these malachi, messengers or angels of God, running up and down, going up and down on the ladder. And it completely echoes Jacob's own journey of, going up and going down, going to and going fro, but being really grounded, rooted on the ground, and there's still the possibility of ascending, fulfilling his highest destiny. And in this dream, while the angels are running up and down, the Yud He Vav He, the great creator, master of the universe, God of Toyrah, appears and assures him that I will be with you always. So he receives this superpower. And what happens when he awakens from what Torah calls a deep sleep, which is interesting. He has this awakening, but he's in a deep sleep. So he's like liminal. He's just like in between places here. But when he awakens from his sleep, he has this moment of true, I think, enlightenment, one of Torah's beautiful enlightenment moments. And he says, surely Yud He Vav He, the unpronounceable, unknown, is present in this place, and I did not know it. How awesome is this place, he says. And Torah says he's shaken by this realization. So he feels it in his body. Oh, this place is awesome. This is none other than the abode of God. And right here, I think this is a really beautiful opportunity for us as readers of Torah, those of us who like to look to it for spiritual guidance, to, take in for a moment, wow, when have I been in my life in a place and all of a sudden, or with a person, or with myself, and all of a sudden, it's like I awake from a dream where I didn't see the magnificence of what was around me, and all of a sudden I see it. This is this moment of connection, really, to the world, to yourself, to others. And Torah is saying this is part of how we move if we really want to move through life toward higher and higher spiritual evolution, that we have to stop, find a way to feel grounded and at home wherever we are, and let the place speak to us and let ourselves be affected by how a place or a person or a connection or a part of ourselves is speaking to us. And then say, oh, I see how awesome this is. And as I'm speaking about this, it really reminds me of a teaching that I often heard from Thich Nhat Hanh, the great Buddhist teacher, who suffered so much. I mean, bombs exploded in his, meditation hall in his um, monastery when he was a, younger man. I mean, this is somebody who knows suffering. He said, the conditions for our happiness, there, in every moment, is always enough, uh, there are always enough conditions for our happiness in every moment, no matter what's going on. And that is exactly this experience that Jacob is having. And so then he even renames the city. It's, he's just so embracing this new experience he has, and he accepts the prophecy, and does another kind of libation with a stone and a pillar, and he resumes his journey. And I've been looking very carefully at what does he do after he's had this incredible awakening experience, that he can be at home anywhere, and that the universe, the power of the universe is with him in every moment. Um, the first he's affected by this so deeply that first he does is acknowledge and create a relationship with the power of the universe, so that he doesn't forget, so it doesn't just become like one moment in his meditation. He's like trying to figure out ways to stay in connection to what just happened to him. And then the next thing that happens is he keeps on going on his journey, and he sees a well in the open. And those of us who've been, studying this Torah, we know the well, it could mean he sees the Torah. And it says, the passage, that he sees it in the open. So again, wherever you are, you can find your Torah. You don't have to follow somebody else's Torah. Um, Here it is in the open. It's everywhere if we just open our eyes. It says, there before his eyes was a well in the open. And there's this really, really large, heavy stone over the mouth of the well. And these uh, wanderers come, and he engages with them, and they talk about how heavy the well and the stone is. And Jacob has so come into his power, Torah is telling us, that Jacob by himself moves this giant stone off the well. And I was thinking, hallelujah, Jacob. Maybe this is like the first way he's used all the resources and power that comes to him as a true act of service for someone else and for the animal, for the world. So again, we're seeing that he has this incredible awakening and a prophecy and a new way of seeing the world, and he's putting it into service for others, just as his mother did, right? When his grandfather's servant finds Jacob's mother, Rebecca, and she, runs and waters all the camels. So Jacob, he's stepping into a new way of being in the world that pulls in all the powers from all of his ancestors. That's pulling in the masculine and the feminine powers in his ancestry. And then here comes Rachel, and he either falls in love with her immediately, or he recognizes her He recognizes his mother in her because Rachel is his mother's niece. It's Toyrah doesn't say, but what Toyrah does say is he kisses Rachel. He rolls the stone off the mouth of the well. So he opens the channels uh, again from the ground, from the earth, and that opens the channels of his heart. And he kisses Rachel, and he breaks into to tears. And I'm not sure if this is the first time in Torah where somebody breaks into tears. But certainly it's notable when it happens throughout the story. It doesn't happen that often, and it's significant. So again, are these the tears from the well that he's now able to pull from? Torah doesn't say, so it leaves it to us to sort of imagine what are his tears. And then the story goes on that he takes up residence in Rachel's family's house, which is her father is Rebecca's brother. Um, he says now he realizes he's in love with Rachel, and not so much in love with Leah. So Jacob is still in that world of either or, better, worse. So he's really got a lot of journeying to continue. Um, and all of his picking, choosing, either or, anything he does that foments jealousy is so connected to the patriarchy. And what are we going to do with this patriarchal system in which this Torah is chronicling? So that's a continuing journey for all of us. But he bargains with Rachel's father to purchase her for his love. Talk about, the patriarchy. And Laban, her father, will trick him because Rachel is the younger and her sister Leah is the older. And so the karma from what happened between Jacob and Esau back in Beersheba, right? When Jacob, this was in last week's Torah portion, when Jacob uh, stole his brother's birthright to inherit the covenant, that karma has now come back. Or it was always there. So now Jacob has to figure out how to work out this karma of the relationship between the older and the younger. And so Laban is saying, no, you can't marry Rachel. I mean, Leah has to be married first, the older, in our ancestral way, which is the way of Rebecca, right? Jacob's mother. We have to, the parents have to kind of take care of the older child first, get the older child settled and keep the younger one at home. And so now Jacob is really coming up to the karma of his ancestry, and his own what he's done in relation to his older brother. And just noting again how these stories in Genesis just keep reflecting and circling back to each other. And I think that's a great reminder to us also, to always look carefully, is our work here finished? Like we enter into relationship with our, our kids, our parents, our partners, our communities, and there's been some healing. Don't think it's done. Like, keep going back. What else is there? Keep digging wells. Keep going back and looking in the same wells, see them differently, and still know we haven't yet achieved perfect communication. There's always more work to do. And I want to just finish by talking a little bit about Rachel. And the interesting thing that when finally, well, two things that the the Torah portion really details how Rachel and Leah work out this dynamic of, both of them being loved when they're living in a society that's favoring one over the other. And the society favors one over the other in many ways, older, younger, more beautiful, less beautiful. Um, Seeing one who has the strength to see inward, which is Leah, and one who has the strength to be seen as beautiful. And there's a lot, by the way, about the two of them being the Shekhinah, the divine feminine on earth, and it's all about for wholeness, for progress, is that all of these seemingly opposing forces have to come together. I think that's the great message of Torah that we see over and over. So Leah and Rachel, unlike Jacob and Esau, have intense communication about, all right, how are we going to do this? Well, you're going to give me your special medicine, and I'm going to give you access to my special love. And they work it all through so that they all end up as one family, raising their kids together, which I think is a beautiful vision that Torah presents. But along the way, when they're all fleeing with all of their children, um, Rachel, as they're stealing away from her father's household, she takes the family idols with her and hides them in her saddlebag and protects them with her menses. Like she uses her female body as a way of protecting them. So when Laban catches up to them and says, "Where are my household gods?" and wants to search through all the saddlebags, she's like, "Oh, you can't touch me. I'm in my feminine time." So she's really channeling her feminine powers to protect all of them and herself and these idols from being returned to this place where there's still so much deceit, which is, her father's household. And so I'm just looking at, why does Torah say she stole the household idols? It never explains the significance of it or why she does that. And I think because I just came back from a pilgrimage to the ancient matriarchal goddesses in Crete, I'm very much focused on that in the era that this takes place, and in the era when the Torah was, well, no, it was before the era when the Torah was shifted from an oral tradition to a written tradition. But in the ancient times, we know that there were matriarchal societies, and we know that this is true in all of Mesopotamia, modern day Israel. And I think she was taking these idols with her because she understood that the journey to come to a journey of wholeness, for any of them to fulfill their the prophecies of their greatness, they needed to bring along the masculine gods who Jacob had encountered, and the feminine. So I want to really cheer on, uphold, celebrate. I want to celebrate that Rachel brought with her and protected the household goddess figures, that she understood that those were needed, that those are the ones that come from the land, that those are the ones that bring nourishment. Um, and we will see that Rachel, the legacy of Rachel and what she brings along, lives on way past her tragic death in childbirth. So thank you, everyone, and may we all be blessed to look around and see that whatever God or divine moments or insights we have are available to us in every moment. Thank you.